Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today I've got a last minute spooky book haul to share with you. I am so sorry this is coming out so late. I had planned on having a October, again Halloween, fall themed book haul because I always do a spooky September themed book haul and then an October one with whatever I get after I film that video. But I also had a spooky special edition book haul and I was trying to not like overwhelm you guys with too many book hauls. I will link both of those down below in the cards. So I wasn't planning on doing the October one. However, I have collected and been gifted a large stack of books that will work for fall and Halloween. And I always keep all of these books like separate in a closet until I'm ready to film it for you guys. And I just didn't feel like saving this many until next year because then next year's haul would be like out of control and I wouldn't be able to put these away like where they normally would go. So we're just gonna share it with you, hopefully give you a couple last minute recommendations for your final October TBR for the rest of the year because I know a lot of you will read spooky fall Halloween themed books all year long. So this is full of vampires, ghosts, monsters, gothic goodness. I don't know a lot about a lot of them. I've only read one or two. I got most of these through library bookstores or book sales for like $1 to $3. I had a friend actually go on a road trip and stop at some library bookstores for me on the way home that brought me some. I had some that got mailed to me. I got a couple pre-orders in. So we've got a nice little stack to share with you. We have Jessica's Guide to Dating the Dark Side by Beth Fantasky. This is the first in a old school YA vampire trilogy and it looks like it's going to be kind of quirky and fun. I was hoping to get to this year for, you know, reading all the vampire things, but I don't know that I'll be able to. But it looks like a good one to put on my vampire TBR shelf. Graveminders by Melissa Marr. I've only read 2 books from Melissa Marr, but I do like her. Again, kind of an old school YA author. This is a standalone book that sounds so good. Rebecca Barrow never forgot the tender attention her grandmother Maylene bestowed upon the dead of Claysville. While growing up, Rebecca watched as Maylene performed the same unusual ritual at every funeral. 3 sips from a small silver flask, followed by the words, "Sleep well and stay where I put you." Now Maylene is gone and Beck must return to the hometown and the man she abandoned a decade ago, only to discover that Maylene's death was not natural and there was good reason for her odd traditions. So, sounds like it's got like some witchy, maybe undead vibes. I think this one is YA, but it could be adult. Either way, it sounds amazing. All right, we got The Unbound, an archive novel from Victoria Schwab. I actually read this one a few years ago. I've been saying this over and over again, but at first I wasn't sure if Victoria Schwab was the author for me, but I have been loving the last like 4 books that she put out so much that I wanted to go back and reread some of the ones I read before. So collecting these again, I need to get the first one. This first one I did really enjoy, but I remember not fully loving this second one, so I'm not sure why. But this one is basically like a library of the dead and they kind of can pull the dead out and get their past stories from them, and there's these people guarded and protecting the library, and it's got a very cool premise. So the first one is The Archived and this one is Unbound. Betwixt by Tara Bray Smith. How unusual and unique is this cover? Beautiful Morgan wakes up in her meager home with blood under her fingernails. Paintings come alive under Ondine Mason's violet-eyed gaze. Haunted runaway Nyx St. Michael sees halos of light around people doomed to die. So this one has kind of like magical fairy vibes. We have Howl by Sean David Hutchinson. I actually have a few of Sean's books that are alien galaxy themed that I really like. He is a really fun YA author that just writes like really humorous and like enjoyable quick reads. I'm assuming this one is werewolf. So Virgil Knox was attacked by a monster. Of course, no one in the claustrophobic southern town of Merritt believes him, not even after he stumbled into the busy town center, bleeding, battered, and bruised for everyone to see. He'd been drinking, they said. He was hanging out where he wasn't supposed to, they said. It must have been a bear or a badger or a gator, but definitely not a monster. Sounds like werewolfy and it looks awesome. Together We Rot by Skyla Arndt. This one sounds very cool. I got this one from Book Outlet along with a few others. You can find really good deals on Book Outlet for books. She may have helped him escape his family's cult, but the woods won't let him go so easily. So it's got like creepy woods. There's like family religious cult vibes, which not always a fan of, but I love the cover so much, so we're gonna check it out. All right, one that I have read and I want to reread every year and I don't own a copy, so I finally found a copy on Book Outlet for like $9. This Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks. This is a fall cozy graphic novel about 2 friends that work at this epic pumpkin patch and they are finally spending their last fall together before they go off to college and kind of grow up, and there's a cute little romance in here. It's the coolest pumpkin patch ever. Supposedly it's based on the Omaha pumpkin patch, which is incredible. Just the most fall vibes for a graphic novel that you can ever have. My favorite graphic novel for fall. So excited to have a copy. I got an illustrated edition of Frankenstein from Mary Shelley. This is only $10 at Barnes & Noble, and I am obsessed with Frankenstein. I love it so much, and this is just such a gorgeous book. It is fully illustrated with glossy pictures. So fun. I can't wait to do a reread. I try to read one like spooky classic a year, and Frankenstein so far is like my favorite. Love this. Beautiful and such a good price. Shade by Jerry Smith Reddy. This is part of the Shade and Shift series. I don't want to read the synopsis because I don't think this is the first one, but I believe it's witchy or paranormal, like an old school young adult series. The It Girl by Ruth Ware. I have read 2 Ruth Ware books this year and I loved them both, and I feel like her style of thrillers are something that I will always enjoy. She does a lot with her characters, and then her atmosphere is always really good, and she doesn't dive too deeply into the past or get like too dark. So in this one we're following April Clark Cliveden, and she is the first person Hannah Jones met at Oxford. Vivacious, bright, and occasionally vicious, and the ultimate it girl, she quickly pulled Hannah into her dazzling orbit. Together they cultivated a group of devoted and inseparable friends, Will, Hugh, Ryan, and Emily, during their first term. By the end of the year, April was dead. So it looks like we might have some like dark academia vibe. Sounds great. The Murder Complex by Lindsay Cumming. I believe this one's young adult. I believe it's first in a trilogy. I believe it's got some sci-fi elements. It says, welcome to the murder complex. You can't see us, you cannot feel us, but we are here and we control your every move. I love a good sci-fi spooky book especially, and I think this has got like some dystopian elements as well. Grey Warren by Maggie Stiefvater. So this is the third in a trilogy that is a spin-off series. I'm currently working my way through The Raven Boys, and this series is the spin-off for The Raven Boys. I do think it's fairly crucial to read The Raven Boys first, so I haven't dove into what this is about, but I've been collecting them. So I'm glad to have this third book because I think I have them all now. And The Raven Boys is just like witchy, dark, fall, gothic goodness. There's like a murder mystery, there's magic, there's ley lines. It's really, really good so far. Then I finally got a copy of Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This is an adorable, tiny little graphic novel about a vampire girl falling in love with a human man, and it is so cute and simple and quick. It's got black sprayed edges. This was actually $9 on Amazon when I got it. I went ahead and just got it new because I loved it so much. It's about a little vampire woman who falls in love with a werewolf man, and it is so cute. It's just really funny, and there's lots of humorous things, like he'll get like distracted by a squirrel in like his human form, and she'll be like, hey boy, look at me. Like, it's just really cute and cozy and like romantic and adorable. So I'm glad I have one. The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. I have not loved most of Danielle Page's books that I have read, so I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy this one, but we know that we want to try anything this pretty, and I got it for $1 at the library bookstore. So this is part of a young adult series, I believe. At first glance, the sisters of ultra-exclusive Kappa Rho Nu, the Ravens, seem like typical sorority girls. Ambitious, beautiful, and smart. They're the most powerful girls on Westerly College's Savannah, Georgia campus. But the Ravens aren't just regular sorority girls, they're witches. So looks like some dark academia vibes as well. Crave by Tracy Wolff. I actually got 4th and 5th book in this series in last month's haul, and I got the first one finally. This is a vampire young adult series. It's very long. I've heard very mixed reviews. I have friends that gave it like 1 star, and I have friends that give it like 4 or 5 stars. So I'm gonna try it eventually and see how I feel. I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel, so hopefully we love it. I'll get to it at some point when I've got my series a little bit more together, but slowly collecting them. Starlings by Amanda Linsmeyer. I got this one actually from Book Outlet as well. It should still be on there. This one is also perfect for winter because it's set like around Christmas time. I read this one last year for Halloween season. I will link the vlog where I read it down below in the description. This was one of the books that kind of saved my October because I had a rough October reading month where I wound up not liking like a ton of the books that I read. So in this one, Kit's father always told her he had no family, but his sudden death revealed the truth. Now Kit has a grandmother that she never knew she had, Agatha Starling, and an invitation to visit her father's hometown in Rosemont. And Rosemont is picture perfect. The famed eternal roses bloom all year. Downtown is straight out of 1950s, and there's even a cute guy to show Kit around. The longer Kit's there though, the stranger it all feels. The Starling family is revered, but there's something off about how the Starling women seem to be at the center of all the town's important history. As welcoming as the locals are, Kit can't shake the feeling that everyone one is hiding something from her. This one is so good. I just thought it was so unique, the mystery and why things are happening. There's a little bit of magical elements in here, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a great standalone. Anatomy, a love story by Dana Schwartz. So this is the first in a young adult duology. This was Reese's book club pick, and I've heard this is like a very loose Frankenstein retelling or inspired. This is gothic Victorian goodness, which is like my favorite thing to read in the fall. Hazel Sinnott is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jake Kerr is a resurrected man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. When the two of them have a chance encounter outside of Royal Edinburgh's Autonomous Society, Hazel thinks nothing of it at first, but after she gets kicked out of renowned surgeon Dr. Beechman's lectures for being the wrong gender, she realizes that her new acquaintance might be more helpful than she first thought. I absolutely love women wanting to be doctors in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, trying to be physicians or forensic scientists. Like, I just find it so interesting to read about. I just love it. It's so good. So I've heard this is amazing and like right up my alley. So I'm hoping to get to this one before the end of October. Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. This again is part of a huge murder mystery series. I only have this book so far. I need to get the first one. But basically what I've heard is that there's this author that writes murder mysteries or thrillers, and she's telling her agent about it on the phone and describing like what her characters are doing. And someone overhears her and thinks that she's actually a hitman and tries to get her to like kill someone for her. I think maybe even her husband. And she takes them up on the offer, and it's supposed to be like a wild and hilarious ride. So that sounds perfect. This is an adult series. It's got like 5 or 6 books now, so I started my collection. Finally, got a copy of Cold Legacy by Megan Shepherd. I've been trying to find this out in the wild, just like at my library bookstores, because I have the other 2 and I just couldn't do it, and it's been like 7 years. So I finally got a copy. I think I ordered this from Thrift Books. This is part of the Madman's Daughter trilogy. These all are loose retellings, but they do go in order, and the characters and events take place one by one. The first one is A Madman's Daughter, one of my all-time favorite reads for fall. It is so good. Again, another one where we're set like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and our main character wants to be like a physician or a doctor. That one's a retelling of the Isle of Dr. Moreau, so we have some things with some creepy animals and an island. It has an amazing ending, and I really liked the whole trilogy, but the first book especially. So now I have them all. I can continue to gush about them this time of year. Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I got this beautiful, I think it's called the Paper Mill Press edition off of Book Outlet. This is such a tiny little story. This is one of the classics that I'm reading for this fall. I haven't ever read it before. This is by Robert Louis Stevens, and I just loved this cover. I thought it was so beautiful. Spellcaster by Claudia Gray. I love Claudia Gray's writing. She is such a just fun, adventurous author. I've mostly read sci-fi stuff from her, and I loved all of them. This is part of her Witchy series. I think this is the first one, but I'm not sure. I don't want to read the synopsis just in case, but I know that it has something to do with witches. I know that it's a quartet, so I'm excited to have this first book. Then for Not So Scary-a-thon, we did Vampires vs. Villains, and I read the first book, Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaeffer, and my friend actually recently found me a copy because I didn't have a physical copy, and I liked it so much that I went and I ordered the next 2 in the trilogy from Pango because I want to physically read both of these. So we have Only Ashes Remain and When the Villains Rise. This is books 2 and 3. So this series is something I did not think I would like. Our main character dissects monsters for a living. We're in this world where there are all these different kinds of monsters that do different kinds of things. They're very unique. I think most of them look human. Some of them will like eat the souls of virgins. Some of them feed on fear. Some of them are dangerous. Some of them are not. And their body parts are very valuable. One of the monsters, the bones, if you grind them up into a powder, are very similar to cocaine. Another one can like change your emotions. So her mother brings her these dead monster bodies and she dissects them. They put them in little jars and things, and they sell them on this dark internet web like eBay situation. She is fine with this, doesn't really question where the bodies come from or the ethics of this, until one day her mother brings home a live teenage boy and she decides that she's done. And it just takes a turn from there. It is such an unusual book. It is very gory for a young adult book, I feel like, and very intense, but the way that it was written was so interesting. I was so interested in the types of monsters. We're set mostly in South America in the first book, I believe. The characters are so interesting and everything that, I don't know. I wound up really liking it, so I ordered the second and the third book to find out what happened. All right, then I got Before the Devil Knows You're Here by Autumn Krause. I actually got this one hoping to read it for Retold-a-thon, and then I decided to save it for spooky season, and then I still haven't read it yet. This author was actually so kind to actually donate one of these for my Retold-a-thon giveaway, which was just really so sweet. Be sure and check her out on Instagram. She does like a really good job. I love following her, and this is like a gothic retelling mashup of Paul Bunyan and Johnny Appleseed, with like romance and like I think ghosts. It's 1836 in Wisconsin. Catalina lives with her pa and her brother in a ramshackled cabin on the edge of the wilderness. Mama died years ago and the harsh winters have brought the family to the brink of starvation. Catalina has replaced her poet's soul with an unyielding determination to keep pa and her brother alive, period. When pa takes suddenly ill, Catalina tries everything to revive him, but as soon as the illness claims him, a strange man appears, a man covered in bark and leaves growing from his head and sap dripping from his eyes. Before Catalina can stop him, he scoops up her brother and disappears, leaving behind a bird with crimson wings. She can't let this man, if that's what he is, have her brother. With no idea where they've gone, she grabs Pa's knife and Mama's Durango follows the bird. It just sounds so amazing. This one is pretty inexpensive on Amazon right now and is one of the prettiest books I own. This naked book has like apples and flowers. It says you die with an apple on your lips and music in your ears and his image before your eyes. I think there's romance in here. I think this is young adult, but I'm not entirely sure yet. I will hopefully read this by the end of October and let you guys know because it sounds awesome. All right, then lastly, I got The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. I ordered the exclusive Barnes & Noble edition with gold foiling. I don't know if the end pages are different in the regular book, but we have this beautiful foiling that says Merrick on it. I don't pre-order books very often, but I was so excited for this one. It was my most anticipated book of the year. I recently finished it like 2 days ago. You guys, I don't want to be over dramatic, but this might be my new favorite book of all time. It was so good. It was everything that I wanted it to be, but very different than what I expected. The cover fits it so perfectly. If you know, you know. The edges fit it perfectly. Like this was thoughtfully done, as was everything about it. It was absolutely incredible. I'm going to rave about it in my October reading wrap up. I almost cried during this book. It was just gothic goodness in the best way. All right. So we're following Hazel Treppas, and she has always known she wasn't like her siblings. A 13th child promised to one of the gods, she spends her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death, to arrive and take her away. When he does, he lays out exactly what he's planned for Hazel's future. She will become a great and celebrated healer. To aid in her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift, the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick, but all the gifts come with a price. I apparently love books that have to do with death as a character. Like I've read like 4 now, and they're like all in my top favorites. But this is just so beautiful. There is a small romance in here, but the point of the book is not that. You're just following Hazel and dealing with these different gods and these different situations. It's just incredible. It has loose Belladonna vibes, very loose. Loose Addie LaRue vibes, again, very loose. Loose familiar vibes. If you like the actual feeling of those books, this one's similar, but even better. I highly recommend the audio if you like them because the narrator I feel like is incredible. I did have a friend that I was buddy reading it with that physically read it that felt the same way I did, but the narrator was so good. I just feel like she made the story even better. It's just such a beautiful book. I'm gonna want all the editions, all the art, all the everything. Get ready for me to nonstop talk about this like I do with Belladonna. Erin A. Craig. You're officially in like my top favorite author lists. I can't wait for her next one now. Please read it if you love gothic, very slightly spooky, atmospheric, just deliciously written stories. Ah, love it so much. Okay, you guys, so that is my crazy little last minute spooky book haul for the end of October. Again, like I said, I got almost all of these for under $5, or I found them when I'm out like book hunting and things. So I just grab things as I find them. I very rarely buy books brand new just because I'm able to find them so cheaply doing this. So let me know if you plan on reading any of these books or if any of them sound good to you, or if there's any of them that you love that I should bump up on my TBR. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Bright Side Girl if you haven't already, and hit subscribe as well if you haven't already. I post 2 new videos every week. I have 1 or 2 more fall videos coming your way, and then we're gonna kind of transition slowly into Christmas and holiday goodness. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time on The Bright Side.